we had a player that came in with a hard slide, and then there was a little bit of a dust up, right? And if you're watching the video, I'm just kind of still smoothing out my box. I'm like, holy fuck! I said, I can't get involved in all this. I said, I got a big job to do here. This is going to be over momentarily, and I'm just keep smoothing out my box and making sure all the holes are filled, like getting the box ready to bat, right? So that's all I needed now. Going, as a pressure enough situation, all I need is someone fucking smacking me in the face here before I get, before I'm going to bat off Josh Pettit and top of the 7, the ISC finals, right?
But I'm a man now. For courting 6 girls all at once they use me. My mother said it was naughty. But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very good. And Lolly drops his glove, grabs Dalton.
The benches are clearing. Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly is brought to you by CoolBet. If you got a few extra bucks rattling around in your arse pocket, CoolBet Sportsbook will double your first deposit up to $200 when you use the bonus code DUSTUP. Head over to coolbet.com and get in on the fastest growing entertainment sector in the world. That bonus code again is DUSTUP, one word, all capital letters, DUSTUP.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 10 of Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly. And as you can tell from the welcome, this is neither Hilly nor Lolly. It's Kris Abbott. I was a guest on episode 2, 3, early on anyway, and I'm still really happy that they tapped me to do that. I think maybe they just couldn't get a hold of anyone else, but absolute honor to do that then. And it's even more so of an honor to be asked to host the 10th episode where we're going to turn the tables on Jason and Steven and talk to them about the whirlwind last few weeks they had playing ball in the U.S. in a condensed ISC season and the ASAs. We're going to talk to them a little bit about what it's been like so far doing the podcast through 9 episodes before today, where they have guests from Newfoundland and Newfoundland, as well as Australia, Ontario, and Newfoundland. But it goes to say that these guys have made connections and friends and enemies from all over the world. And I believe both friends and enemies will be on this thing before the time is up. But with that joke aside, I mean, these guys have done a great job bringing some insight into some of the most famous fast pitch players of all time, from Colin Abbott and Todd Martin to Nick Shales and, the 2 Ezigo boys, Bradley and Blair. I guess Kyle didn't get the invitation, but maybe somewhere down the road. And it's been fantastic. But in this episode, we want to take some time to talk more about our hosts because they do such a good job in bringing the game, in bringing the inside of the game to everybody else. We kind of forget sometimes that these guys are very, very, very accomplished in their own right. And they've done a lot of it together, from playing on the same team when they were 13, 14, 15 years old, to now where we're both pushing 40. Jason just had a birthday. So time flies when you're having fun, and there's a lot of fun had along the way, a lot of championships won, and surely a lot of memories that we're going to try and drag out of these guys through the next, hour or so, however long they let me talk on this microphone. So without further ado, I want to bring in the host of this podcast, but today's guests as we turn the microphones around. Steve Mullally and Jason Hill. How you doing, fellas?
Now that is a friggin' intro, Hilly. That's how it's supposed to be done.
No, that's how you do it. And I mean, I'm questioning now why we got you doing your thing before the show. That is how you do. Bravo, Abby. Well done, man. Well done.
There's 2 people to choose from when he's not on here, and everybody knows who the best choice is, and that's so. You know what? We're getting the best we can, but yes, that's why we brought Abby on here. Thanks a ton for doing this, buddy. And it's your show today, and there's no one better and no one that we want doing it more. So thank you.
It's my absolute pleasure, and it reminds me of the movie The Wedding Singer when Adam Sandler stands up and he says, "I have the microphone, and you will listen to every damn word I have to say."
Well, here we go.
But people didn't come here to hear me. I'm just going to facilitate this conversation right now. And you guys ran off 9 episodes of the podcast during the downtime in the spring and early summer. before there was any ball really being played in North America, especially at the highest level. Jace, I know you were playing a little bit in the St. John's League, and Malali was working on his tan out here in Burlington, in Ontario. So, but you did get to travel, go to the U.S., play, I guess, some warm-up events in the ASA and the ISC, all in a pretty condensed time period. Congratulations on the big win. Added another ring to the collection as well. But I want to learn a little bit about what went into that. I mean, there must have been a time where you weren't sure if you guys were going to make it to the tournament at all. If you want to talk a little bit about how you got there physically, some people might be interested in hearing that too.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, it was a very condensed season, but it was a very busy season. I mean, we packed a lot of softball in that 3.5 weeks we were on the road, but behind the scenes, before it even came to be, there was a lot of work that had to be done, and there was a lot of uncertainty, right, with this pandemic shit going on still. So we had to get all our ducks in a row and all our bases covered, so to speak. The vaccinations, everyone was trying to get those in time, and we had to book tests before and after, and we had to arrange for flights, transportation, different regulations, different states, what the border was going to look like, and there was just a whole bunch of stuff that had to be done. But props to our management, and they lined it all up for us, and it was a very smooth process. And they had every leg of the trip was planned out to a T, and there were certainly some peaks and valleys along the way, and ended up with the World Championship, which we'll get to. But it was truly an awesome experience, and given the landscape of everything going on right now, and how we managed to do it is just a cool story in itself, and we'll get to that, I'm sure.
So, Stephen, I want to talk to you specifically because, as we get older, it's a lot harder to just pick up the glove and the bat and go. And I know the boys were playing, some local ball at home. What did you do to get ready? I think I saw that you even might have stepped into a game or two when you went back to visit your parents in St. John's. Am I right in saying that?
Yes. Yeah. So you're right. It was tough, and not being in a league just throughout, just a normal league that you play in. I was lucky that the Waterdown Hammer team, and Pete Chambers is a good friend of mine, and those guys on that team have always, over the past number of years, given me a game, especially if I was tuning up for a big event, either national team or Hilly United. And so I was able to get a couple of games in with those guys. And then when we got the opportunity to go down to Newfoundland, I was able to get out and play a game back home, just nostalgia. It was really good to get out and play in that league with the guys I grew up playing with. Mom and dad and everybody came in and all that, but it was a tune-up game in my mind. We knew at that point we were going, and so it was great to get a high-quality game down in that league. But outside of that, it was just trying to stay on top of the fitness and just be ready. But when we got down there, I forgot how to play softball. Flat out. We played the first tournament, and I didn't even know where to put my fucking hands on the bat. So that was a bit, and you mentioned the age factor. It's definitely something that is relevant now. 37 3/4 years old, and felt every bit of that at times. But then there was times on the trip where you feel 23 again. But to elaborate a little bit on what Hilly said, the Hill United Chiefs team, what the management strives to do, and they say this: we only want you guys worrying about playing ball. And they trying their best to take care of everything else. We went away for 3.5 weeks, and all we really had to focus on was getting our COVID test before we got there, showing up on time for the travel plans, and being ready to play ball. It was a whirlwind 3.5 weeks, but if it wasn't for the way that thing was planned out, the amount of games and practices, I don't think anyone of us would have been ready to play, but me in particular, with not having played and being a little bit older.
So you talk about the Hill United Chiefs, and obviously a dynasty now in the fast pitch world. And it wasn't that long ago that the team started out, and people were trying to figure out how it was going to look and what was going to happen. And you guys had success, pretty early on. And a large part of that success was kind of the mixture of the Australian national team and the Canadian national team, which made up a huge part of your roster. And before the tournament, you find out you're not going to have Nick Shields and Adam Folkert there, who are, massive parts of this team. Like, it cannot be understated. How did the team deal with that news? And then what did you do to overcome it
Yeah, I mean, I guess before we went, we knew that this was a possibility that the two boys wouldn't be able to go. You know, there's stuff going on in Australia with the COVID and quarantine rules, whatever it was, and then Nikki had some issues, some entry issues coming back to Canada or whatever it was, and we knew that was a real possibility. And obviously, this is our number one pitcher, and then in Adam, this is our captain and our number 3 hitter, Nikki Shales, right? Like one of the best players ever play. So we're kind of like, fuck, if these guys don't come, like, you know what, obviously we're there to do a job and to try our best to win, but it certainly makes things a lot tougher, as if these guys are not around. But and it was literally they tried everything they could to get them there to right up before the ISC, like right up to a day or two before the ISC. And but I mean, we soldiered on. We played 2 tournaments at this point, and we played umpteen exhibition games, and felt like 1,000 practices. And we were at that point going into the ICs, we were, fully prepared as we could be, and we were gelled together as one, and we were prepared to battle on without these guys. And we even brought in a guy, Colin Walsh, who brought him in before for the first day of the tournament, or second day of the tournament. I think he got there. So, it was a different feeling. You battled with these guys on the field since 2012, and they're still part of the team, but they're not there. It was weird. And, we had some new faces around, but like I said, they got us prepared as we could. We were ready to rock. It certainly felt a little bit different, but I mean, we put our heads down and we went to work.
Yeah. I was the opposite of Hilly when they said they can't go. I was like, great, 2 less assholes on the team. No, it was you lose the 2 best players in the planet at their position, and with what they bring to the table, not just talent wise, the culture of our team is based around what they bring off the field just as much as what it is on the field. So it was a huge blow. But even Adam being in Australia, Nick being back home, we got group chats. These guys still are part of the team, bringing you just, whether it's a message or something like that. But it hurt us, not just playing wise, not having them there, but they're just great guys to have around, and they're the best in the world for a reason. So you kind of had to play the hand that you're dealt. The coaching staff and management did a fantastic job on that. But it was building blocks. Because when we got down there, I think we finished 4th or 5th in the Tin Cup sausage tournament, or whatever it was called down there that we played, and we lost 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, something that we're not used to doing. That's kind of the get you ready for the semifinal game, even when you're in that position. And we shit the bed pretty hard on that one. And then it was, okay, what are we going to do to close this big gap that's present right now from where we need to be and where we are? And then that's when all the games and exhibitions and all that came in. But there's no replacing those guys. It's just trying to piece together the best team possible and have everybody pick up their slack. And looking back now, a month and a half after that whole tour started, that's probably the proudest thing, was being able to do that. And we knew that those guys were back watching, wanting to be there, desperate to be there, and really wanted to see us pull together. So it was awesome to do that for them.
I got to bring up another key member of our team too, that we had to leave at home, was Benny Weidman. And, Benny's he can play all 3 fields. He's the ultimate team guy. And unfortunately he couldn't go to work commitment, couldn't come because of work commitments. So we did have some new faces around, and it was a totally new Chiefs team basically. And we had 3 weeks to come together and figure it out.
Yeah, well, then you go on to the ASAs after that disappointment, and you go on a nice run, and you've got the Gremlins in the championship, and maybe an untimely defensive judgment in left field, leads to the result there. So that was another stinging defeat, probably just as bad or worse mentally when you consider getting knocked out early in the tournament. So another block for you guys to get over. What was the conversation like after that game?
After the game, it was a combination of disappointment and hope, if I could put it that way, because what we were a week and a half, 2 weeks before that, when we showed up to that team, individually, performance-wise, our team gelling, and then the performance on the field, to get to that championship game and then to get out 4-0, you're playing the Gremlins, and this is one of the strongest Gremlins teams I think ever assembled. And they flat out, they beat us in that game. They were the best team there. We had a great game the night before, and that's was the winter bracket final. We lost, I believe it was 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th, and that's when we started to realize, all right, guys, we can contend for these major championships. We got a shot at the ASA. We got a shot at the ISCs. But when you lose that winner's bracket final in the ASA, the loser got to come back up through, and the winner gets to go with double life. So we knew it was going to be an uphill battle. We got back there. We wanted to leave everything on the field in the first game just to try and get it to the second one. And they beat us. And just to talk about that, the play in left field, I want to see him die for that ball. And that's Quentin Bruce, a young guy in our team. He came in, he fit in like a dirty shirt, hell of a ball player. And to be put in that situation, there's a couple of tough hit balls out his way that are judgment calls. Nothing routine about any of those. And he's a gamer. So he laid out. If he makes the catch, he's a hero. But unfortunately, it took a skip. It got by him. But that's the way it goes. And it was going to be an uphill battle regardless of that. We would have had to beat them twice. So we were disappointed to lose it. But then when we came out of that, we are now in a position, and we're headed the right way, that winning the ISC or contending for that championship was now a reality. And that gap I talked about earlier seemed not as big.
So I just want to touch on Quentin Bruce there for a second, because in 2007, I know this one still sticks with you, the fly ball in the sun in St. John's that got by you. You were a kid then, and I'm sure somebody had some words to say to you. Did you pass that along this time around?
Yeah, I had a chat with him, and as any gamer would be, he was pretty down, not just on himself, but I think that we lost. And the only thing I really said to him was, way to go. You go for the ball, you lay it out on the line, and he's always going to take something from that. He's that type of guy, but he was able to shake it off. And the good thing about our team is, and I've been fortunate to play with great players like you mentioned earlier, Todd Martin, Colin Abbott, some of these guys that you also learn what you think is to be a good teammate. And we've all made errors or went for balls that we didn't get. And yeah, similar to that 2007, that stung. It stuck with me, but I became a better ball player because of it. And I know he will too. He's just that type of guy.
All right. So, it really does write like a movie, the run that you guys went on, because then, you move on to the ISCs, you get through the first few games fine. I do want to touch on something before we get into the playoff round, though, because at CoolBet, there was some home run odds for some games. And there was actually, for Jason, it was 5 or 6 to 1, and a pretty good price. And I see the ball go over the fence, and I'm like, oh, you got to pay this out now. And then all of a sudden, no, we don't. What happened? I always thought that the result of the play would be fine on a situation like that. But Jace, I know you were chewing through your tongue when this happened. I need to know the whole story from start to finish.
There's no whole story. He cheated, and he got caught cheating. That's the whole story, Abby.
So as I was bringing my bat up, so I do my little routine, right? And I was just bringing my bat up. Apparently, I hit the catcher's glove, and didn't fucking bother him. It didn't bother me. Ball came in. I hit the ball, went over the fence. I round first base. Time is all I hear. Right? So I was like, "Fuck do you mean time?" I was like, "This is a home run." What kind of shit is this? And it was like, so what? So it doesn't count? It was like, because on like a legal pitch, you get to replay the play, or if it's a base hit, you get to run it out or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you get out, you get to come back because it was legal pitch. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, you can take the result of the play. It's like playing the advantage in soccer.
Right. So I had no idea how it actually worked, and that I told him how I thought it should work. But
and it had to be Dave Selden too, Hilly.
That was Dave. So we go way back with Dave. Dave, me and Lolly played in the Frankenmuth Thumb Fast Pitch League, and Dave's been umpiring us since we've been 18 years old. So I know this guy pretty good. But anyway, he wasn't my friend that night. And then I think fucking next pitch I grounded out or something the first base, which made it even worse. I was like, fuck!
But Abby, on this, right? So you talked about we're getting a little bit older, and we've been doing this for a while now. So if that had to be 22-year-old Jason Hill, they would have had to move the tournament to a different complex because that one would have been fucking burned down. And I got to give you credit, Hilly. You actually had a smirk on your face. You weren't happy about it by no means, but I can remember. I could just picture you if this was 22-year-old, and then you grounded out the next picture. Like, that's your fucking fault. That's on you, bro. That's not
minimum.
No, but you
No. At minimum, there was an ejection happening there.
Yeah. No, but there your
the very minimum.
Your maturity came in, and then I got to give you credit. You handled it a lot better than I thought you would, and probably a lot better than I would have, or younger me would have for sure. But it's funny though, with just on Dave Selden for a second. So I didn't realize this till we got home when I saw it on Facebook that the championship game of the ISC, he did the plate for it, and it was his final game umpiring. And he was walking up the line. I didn't notice at the time, and we're getting ready to go out onto the field, waiting for the pitcher. We followed the pitcher out, and he said to me, and Hilly's a couple of feet away from me. He said, "Boys, it's been a long run since Frankenmuth." I said, that was back when we were 18. I said, "Yeah, you're telling me, Dave." And Hilly didn't hear what he said, and Hilly looks at me and says, "Oh, Lord Jesus." He said, "How did you get the plate for this game?" And, just throwing barbs, right? Same with a laugh. And anyway, sure we come to find out that was his final game, and he actually did a bang-up job in the championship, and he's had a great career. But it's pretty cool. One of those just little sidebars when you look back to the people you get to meet in the game, and that... there's an umpire that's been umpiring us on the international stage for the last 17 years.
Yeah, when you play the ISCs and you look around the field and all the umpires know who you are, you should probably consider, calling her quits sometime soon. Yeah. You've been around too long.
Yeah.
Well, Dave's been around and he does the WBSC stuff as well, and a number of the tournaments we've been to with Ballpark Broadcasting. He's had premier assignments late in the tournament. Didn't know this was going to turn into the Dave Selden episode, but he. I remember we were getting ready to call the final game in Prague, and he came in. We had our broadcast position, which was the coolest one ever, the plexiglass window behind home plate.
Right.
And Dave came in and dropped off some umpire edition WBSC hats for us. And now that he's not doing it anymore, I guess I can say this, but I don't think he was supposed to at the time. So a little bit of merch that he had this briefcase and he broke it out. I'm like, what are we buying here? But no, he had a whole bunch of gear. So congratulations on a great career to Dave Selden, because as you guys know, can't play the game without those guys.
That's right. But sure enough, it took him to retire and for us to start buttering him up a bit. But no, but a huge congrats to him. But
I'll send him a message when I get over what he did to me in that game.
Well, Jace, you should be able to get over it, because it may have taken a home run off of your ISC tournament record, and there'll be one less home run in the guidebook. But there will be one more championship and one more huge championship moment for you, Jason. I mean, that was a crazy game. There was like 12 pitchers used. Like there was balls going everywhere. It was definitely a tough day, and the end of a long week for the pitchers. So before we get to the climax, I just want to say that I had tuned in as the championship rounds were starting, and I see Jason Hill playing third base, and I think, oh my good God, what did he do to deserve this? Did you even bring your glove? Like, did you have to go out to the closest sports store and get a glove to play?
No, I used Brett Larson's. That's true. And and after we won, I actually threw my glove in the air, and then it was like an hour later, and I was like, Brett, did you even get your glove? I said, I never went to pick it up. I said, you can have it. I don't want to see it again. But yeah, we had, obviously with Nicky not being there, we had to do some shuffling to maintain all the, get these certain guys in the lineup. And I was tapped on the shoulder to play third base. And I said, you know what, if this means that I'm playing and if I can help my team here, and so be it. I was, there was a few conversations that I had before that.
That wasn't the first. That's where you ended up. That's where you ended up was, this is what we got to do for the team. But I can remember when Elsie told you the first, You say, what? Third base. What do you want me to go out and throw the ball to the outfielder by third base? No. But then when we've talked about on a couple of our episodes and other podcasts we do that we go back and we debrief every night around what's coming up, what's going on. And when you lose a Nick Shales and you got to piece together this team, at that point it was probably there was two people going on third base. It was either Jason Hill or Bradley Ezekiel. And can you imagine the difference that tournament would have been if Bradley was playing third base instead of playing center field? So,
well, there's five runs on the board for the Gremlins in that final without Bradley.
Yeah, you're right. You're fucking right. It is.
Because I'll tell you who wasn't making those catches is number 10.
Yeah, he's just looking up like this. Right?
I'm just here like this, watching it go over.
Yeah,
I might have had that if I gave it an effort, but yeah.
But you know what? It turns out after playing there, like really, you fucking pick up the ball and throw it to first. There's fuck all to it.
It's a tough throw, Jace. It's the toughest throw in softball.
I got to give him credit. He didn't make me stretch too much over there, and a little bit of zip on it. You look great. And the problem is now you probably worked yourself into a starting third base position, maybe even on a national team. So way to go. Good job.
Yeah. Nah, we'll fix that next summer.
That's news that Shane Boland did not want to hear. Did you look at Shane and say, listen, I got the bag, you got the rest? How did that work out?
No, I looked at him between every pitch and I'm like, oh, am I right here where I should be? Like, what's the plan here? Like, where the fuck do I stand type thing? But no, Shane's the leader on the infield. It was certainly comforting having him there because he was, he's in your ear constantly, and the constant communication just makes things so much easier, right?
Is there anything about that tournament we should talk about before we finish with you being back where you're most comfortable in the batter's box in a clutch situation? But is there anything we're leaving out, maybe that people didn't get to see on the stream or didn't hear about the Chiefs in that run?
Oh, you could fill a book with key moments, key decisions, just key components to what gave us an opportunity to be in that championship game. But there's a couple that come to mind. One, how insanely good Bradley is. Not just, he had a great tournament offensively, but what he did defensively, it was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. Not just you do one play. He did it against the number one ranked team in the world 3 times in key moments. Very proud and impressed with Shane Boland and how he showed up. Not only he's living in Labrador, he hasn't played a lot of ball, but you can tell the work that he put in to be in game shape. He showed up down there. He was an absolute leader, heart and soul of the team, and he played unbelievably well. Pablo Migliavaca went up another notch in my book, and he was already on a pedestal in my mind. He's kind of been in the Adam Folkart shadow for a while, but he's been quietly becoming one of the best pitchers in the game, and to see what he did, the way the team was coached and managed from Elsie, the pitching by committee, and then the guys that came into our team on short notice. You got Jeff Lyons and Brett Larson and Quentin Bruce, and Colin Walsh showed up kind of last minute and were able to fit in and just gel with the culture of the team, and we're ready to play. It was an absolute pleasure playing with these guys. And then it all led to getting better every game, and then it kind of culminated with Hilly stepping in the batter's box with bases loaded there in the bottom of the 6th inning. Or 7th inning, was it, Hilly?
It's top 7, yeah.
We've all seen Jason in that situation 100 times, and to see you hit the ball hard to right field is nothing new. As the career goes on, and we'll talk some about the accomplishment and the championships. As the career goes on, and these opportunities are will become fewer and fewer. How good did that feel to break that one open?
Oh man, it was. I can't even describe to you how good it felt. Like the situations you dream of, you as a kid, or you start playing your ISC game, your ISC tournaments and stuff. You just say, like, you're training. You think about being up in the 7th inning, tie ball game ISCs, and you have a chance to win it for your team. It wasn't the bottom of the 7th or anything like that, but it was, I had an opportunity to put our team in a very good position. And we had bases loaded with no outs. And if you watch that video, so we all know what happened. Lolly hit one to, I think it was Nicky Mullins.
Yeah.
And he threw it home, and then our guy had a – go ahead.
No, you're talking about, the dreams when you come, and I got to accomplish my dream of getting up and grounding out to short with the game on the line, and but I knew I saw you on deck, so a hit here probably mean more to Hilly now than it would me.
Yeah.
So, no, I got to live out my dream there.
You fucked up there. There was no question about it. But anyway, you see that we had a player came in with a hard slide, and then there was a little bit of a dust up. Right. And if you're watching the video, I'm just kind of still smoothing out my box. I'm like, holy fuck. I said, I can't get involved in all this. I said, I got a big job to do here. This is going to be over momentarily. And I'm just keep smoothing out my box and, making sure all the holes are filled, like getting the box ready to bat. Right. So that's all I needed now going, as a pressure enough situation. All I need is someone fucking smacking me in the face here before I get, before I'm going to bat off Josh Pettit and top of the 7, the ISC finals. Right. But he's out there throwing 82 miles an hour. But anyway, man, it was a surreal moment, I must say. And to be honest with you, the very first pitch, he got a lot of plate on that first pitch, and I fouled it off. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, that was the one. I don't think I'm going to see a pitch like that again. I'm like, fuck. I was like, that was the one to jump on. But and the pitch that I hit was the next pitch, and it was actually a good pitch from his standpoint. It was down and in, and Abe's. I was talking to Abe's after. He said, I don't know how you hit that. I had to go down and get it, and I was able to barrel it up enough and kind of put it off the fence. But when I got on second base, I don't even know. I probably could have got to third. I have no idea. I was just jumping on second base, jumping up and down, and I see Lolly slide in for the third run. And he pumped his fists, and then I was just like shouting and hollering, and I was like, fucking heart was coming out of my chest. It was cool, man. It was a very cool experience. I'll never forget it.
And Abby, on that one cool moment for me that I think I'll remember this for as long as I live, and it's just one of the kind of behind the scenes type things is, so I got the first base, I beat out that ground ball, ran really hard, so I didn't get doubled off. Got
with a bad groin, mind you.
Torn groin, but taped up. Way you go, got there, and Nico went in hard, and then the dust up happened. But you have to go in hard there. I don't think he never went cleats up. It was a hard play, and they responded to a hard play. But I got to first base, and John Hill is coaching there, and he looked at me. Just came over. He said, "Lolly, this is the ISC right here. This is the championship. This at bat." I said, "You're fucking right, Johnny." I said, "Hilly's up," and it was just that moment where I don't know, it was a wave of calm, but also excitement. It was almost like you can anticipate what was going to happen, and then the next pitch, Hilly fouled it straight back, and I had the same thing. I said, "There's your fucking pitch. You screwed it up." But sure enough, as soon as I went to the gap, thought it might have had a chance to go, but knew he had to bear down and score. But sliding in the home plate, coming up, seeing the boys, turning around, seeing Hilly on second base, just with the arms up in the air, it was unbelievable. But Johnny Hill coming over saying, This is the championship game right here, this at bat, and then bang, double off the fence. It was something I think I'll remember for the rest of it.
Yeah, that field must have been 270, 275, huh?
238, I think it was. But you got every bit of 237 in it.
Well, it's a good transition you brought up, John, because for anyone who doesn't know, listening to this, which I would say are few and far between, but that's your father, Jason, John Hill, the coach, and Stephen. I'm sure he's acted as the father for you for a lot of years. In fact, if memory serves correctly, it was John Hill who brought in this goofy kid from Essentia when we were all playing ball in St. John's, and believed in you very much. So when I look at the resumes you guys have put together, 22 major championships, Jason. Stephen, you're a better ball player because you've got 24. You spread all those out through the national team, through the Hill United squads, and then of course the Aurelia and Kitchener teams you were with, Stephen, and obviously the unbelievable run you guys have had at the national championship with Newfoundland and Labrador, first 3 Cheers Pub, and now the Galway Hitmen. But when you think back to when it all started, I'll start with you, Stephen, because I know how much John means to Jason. But for you, what has John Hill meant to what you've done in softball?
Oh, it's tough to put it into words, really, when you're on the other end of 20 years of it. I remember when I was 15 years old, I think I've talked about it a couple of times. I won the tryout for the Canada Games team, missed the tryout, went to the baseball one. and almost made the baseball team. Yeah, but there was one last tryout, and this was back when there was no cell phones, no whatever. Right? You had there was an ad in the paper that said where the tryout was, the next one, and I was devastated.
Bay Roberts.
Yeah, and then that was the one. So I went to the one in Bay Roberts for the baseball one. And I called John Hill, looked up in the phone book, called him, got a hold of him, and asked him if I can come to the tryout. This was a cut-down tryout, and he gave me a shot to come in. And from there, that was the first time I got to know him. I didn't know Jason other than I thought he was the biggest dick on the planet because I guess he was good, and I was jealous. But that's where I first got introduced to John Hill. And then, yeah, he's been my coach, and he's wore a lot of different hats in my life. He's been a coach, like an uncle, like a father figure. He's been one of my best friends, mentor, and everything in between. So to be able to look back and see how many shared memories he and I have, and that he and Jason and I have together, it's unbelievable. And to do it at every level. So I think his journey and what he's done as a coach is just as impressive, and in some regards even more impressive than what we've done as players. And to go from coaching Jason when he's 4 years old to winning a world championship, an ISC championship, ASA major championship, and the nationals and the Pan Am Games. It's incredible what he's done, and he's more than a coach. He's more than a friend. He's family.
Dusty.
Well, Jason, it's funny when he talks. He just talked about your dad coaching you when you were 4 years old. I remember when you were 4 years old, and I was 6, and we were both in the dugout with our parents. Your dad played first, mine played second on the same ball team. So I've known you and your father as long as I can remember, and how's it forever in my memory? Your dad brought organized softball to our community when we were kids. It didn't exist. Right. He started the entire thing. And we played there, and then of course went on, but I don't know if people know how instrumental he's been in just the growth and development of the game, especially on the East Coast and now nationally and internationally as well.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I mean, I took a love for softball at a very early age, much like yourself, just because we were at the yard watching our parents play, and I just wanted to be a bat boy. I wanted to be involved and play catch and all this stuff. And I wanted to play, but there was nowhere for us to play. Like, there was literally no league around us. So what did he do? He got together with his buddies and stuff like that, and they created Portugal Cove St. Philip's minor softball. They've created a program, so we had a place to play. And they developed a lot of good ball players from Portugal Cove St. Philip's. Basically that's how it started for me. And without that, God knows, I wouldn't have played, or I would end up playing baseball or soccer or whatever it was they played down in Portugal St. Philip's. So for me, that's how it started, how it came to be. But, he's coached me for my whole career. And as we got older, he started jumping on these the ISC teams, and he got asked to coach the Canada teams and stuff like that. And some people might kind of find it a bit weird playing for your father at such a high level or something like that. But for me, it's not dad at the ballpark; it's coach, right? As soon as we get to the ballpark, there's a line drawn. It's coach. I'm here he's going to tell me what to do, just like he's going to tell Steve what to do, or Brad, or whoever it is, right? So, as like we talked about, we won a few championships and stuff like that, but to have him, when you're shaking, handshakes at the end of the line, and when you get to the old man, right, and put your arms around him, give him a hug, and all this stuff, like, it's just it's a pretty special moment, man. It's a pretty special moment. I'm thankful for everything, obviously everything he's done in my career and getting me actually started to play ball, but it's kind of like the cherry on top. It's, when you get to experience that, there's no greater feeling, to be honest with you.
But a couple of things there, Abby, behind the scenes. So, yes, you're getting a little bit dusty here now. We're going to get the Kleenex out here. Hilly's his eyes welling up there and everything. But he's one of the funniest people you ever meet. He's way cooler than Jason. He's fucking way cooler than Jason. Just a great fella to have on the road. And I remember, but he'll put you. He walks that thin line between being a player's coach and being able to turn it on as a buddy and have fun and let loose and kind of let his guard down and be your friend. But then as soon as and it must be the cop background, he just commands that respect. Just a couple of funny John Hill stories. I can remember when I just made Team Canada, right back in 2006, and I was down playing, living at home, and down playing in the senior league. And I don't know, maybe I thought my shit didn't stink, and I was probably better than I was, and bit of an attitude down in the league a bit, getting kicked out of games and mouthing off, and just being an immature asshole, basically. And I guess I was getting on the verge of getting a poor reputation as a classless ball player. And it hadn't gone that far, but John was kind of looking down the runway, and I guess he saw where it could go if I kept on that path. And I was at Jason's house one time, and we were going down to a game, and he told Jason to go on and drive. And he was I had my car there too. He said, I'm going to jump in with Lolly now. And on the way down, he said, Lolly, I want to talk to you about something. I said, oh, okay. He said, you're a great ball player. You're doing a lot of great things. There's good things ahead of you, but the way you're conducting yourself at times, you're too good to be doing that stuff, mouthing off to umpires and starting shit between things and throwing your bat when you get out and stuff like that. He said, you got the opportunity to be a really good ball player, but you got to knock that shit off. So after I punched him and told him to go fuck himself, I really reflected on what he had to say. No, you just sat there and took it in, and I'm sure it wasn't an easy or comfortable conversation. And he's had a few of those with me, and he's had a few of those with Jason and I together around how he thinks we should either be preparing or conducting ourselves, and to be able to do that and care enough to make it a priority to say it. So that was awesome. And then just on a funny note, when we lived down in Frankenmuth, remember, Hilly, we were coming back from coaching, and we didn't know. We were getting ready to head into the ASA, and we get back, we're staying in this motel room, and we drive back, and it's, I don't know, it's 45 degrees out down there, and we pull back in. We had no idea. There's someone sitting out in front of the motel room with no shirt on and just basically his boxers on, sitting down in a lawn chair with his feet up on a 30-pack of Miller Lite. And here it is Johnny Hill sat down having a beer waiting for the boys. He said he wanted to come down and take in the ASA, and he came down a couple of weeks early, and that really kicked off him traveling around, and he coached Frankenmuth in the under-23s that year and the following year, and that's when his kind of international journey started. But he's just a beauty. But there's so many funny stories that we could go through, but we're going to get him on his own episode, so we'll save a lot of those for then.
Oh man, that will be something. That will be cannot miss content. The John Hill episode, that's for sure. Okay, so you touched about being in Frankenmuth, and I think that's a good time for us to talk about just the progression that you guys have had as teammates. I mean, which you had been for a number of years before you started traveling. But at one point, the road had to diverge a little bit, and you had to go make it on your own. I'm curious to know what that was like. Did you still support each other when you were playing on opposite teams? Were you in constant contact? Did you lose contact ever before coming back around and back together on the same team?
Yeah, well, like right from the get-go, really. Our very first year away in the States playing ball, I played for Frankenmuth, and Lolly played for Ashton Coors Light. And basically, we were two young kids living down in the States with strangers in strangers' houses. Like, we basically talked to each other every day. And if I'm not mistaken, I think on weekends off, you might have got me down for a weekend with Ashland to play a tournament, and you might have come up to Frankenmuth and play a tournament. So that was our very first year, and really our first time being away, like playing on the major circuit, and like not being teammates. So I don't even know if we played each other that year. I don't think our paths crossed at all, really. I don't think.
No, we played. No. I think there was the Invitational in Midland that might have happened, and then we met up at the ASA. But yeah, we had a couple of weekends off, and when you're that old, 19, 18 years old, and you got no one around, like Hilly said, it was, we talked every day, and then look forward to, it was only a 4-hour drive, but it's a 4-hour drive. So I went up there, and then he came down, and we still got friends from both of those teams to this day. Just saw a few of them down at the ISCs this year, but that gave us the opportunity. By doing that, the guys on my team got to meet Jason. I got to meet the Frankenmuth players and coaches as well. So that was what kind of springboarded me to go to Frankenmuth the next year, and that was an amazing experience. But when I look back on my career, it's there's a couple of tough decisions, I guess, that had to be made. And after that second year in Frankenmuth was really the first of those couple of key decisions, because I wanted to make the national team and I wanted to get on a top-end team, and I got the offer to go play in Town Line and play in that Wisconsin ISC league down there. And I was offered to go back to Frankenmuth, and it killed me not to go back, but I thought it was best for my long-term goals, my career, to not go back and to go give that a try. As much as I wanted to go back, it was comfort zone playing with Jason, and then we're getting Blair and Johnny Kelly down there that year. It would have been awesome, but I thought it was best for my development to go to Wisconsin, and that was a learning experience, but that was really good. But we stayed in touch that whole summer. But that was kind of from an ISC side when we started our own individual journeys with other teams, always wanting the goal to get on a top team and win an ISC together. But it took until 2010 for us to team back up. So that would have been 6 years later. And then until 2013 to finally win one together. But all along, we've had battles against each other, but same thing. In contact pretty well daily, supporting each other, wanting to see each other succeed. And then when we get on the lines, we're bitter enemies. But yeah, it's been a journey. We had to take a couple of side roads to get to what we've done over the last 10 years.
Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly is supported by Miller Lite. Great Pilsner taste with only 90 calories and 3 grams of carbs per serving. After a tough game, it's always Miller time. Please drink responsibly.
Well, it's interesting, and I know you've had a lot of your teammates on from over the years already. Guys who were either role models for you or guys that were going through the same things that you were, and I know you've already touched on a lot of these stories, but I wanted to ask, during that time when you were out kind of carving your own paths, and even outside of the folks that you've had on as guests, so the O'Briens and Colin and Todd and Rob Gray and all these guys who helped pave the way. Who are some other guys that probably haven't gotten the respect, or maybe people don't know that were just excellent teammates and helped you along the way?
So many. I mean, so when right from my Frankenmuth days, I got to play. It's the first time I got to play with Matty Bramwell, and he's a Newfie boy from Carbonear, and we brought him in, and he was just lights out for us that year. And I got to room with him, and he was an older, maybe a little bit more mature than what I was at the time. And but he was a guy that I looked up to back here, right? So I got to talk to him about ball and pick his brain. And then the following year, where did we go? I ended up in where did I go? I ended up in Saskatoon with the Curlicks. So I got to play with the likes of the Canadians got to play with the likes like Dean Holline and Keith McIntosh and Daryl Joy, Trevor Ethier. Like, these guys are household names in our game, and just the level of professionalism that they brought to the field day in, day out. Like, you get to see that, get to experience that. I was like a kid in a candy store for the first 10 years of my career, just picking all these guys' brains, right? Just trying to take it all in. Then I go there and I jump right to the farm. So then you got like Donnie Hale, Colin, Robbie Gray, Jeff Goulagon, guys like Kevin Schellenberg. Like, it's just, the list goes on. There's so many idols and heroes I got in this game. It's too many to tell, but every team, I took away something from guys on every team and kind of tried to put it all together.
Well, one guy you left out on that Aspen team was Sean Witten, and every now and again I flip on some Godsmack and remember nearly dying in a van with you and Whitty driving around Southern Ontario.
Do you remember that story? One quick story. You were that story. We went to the bar. I think you were our driver this night, and or maybe Whitty was our driver. I can't remember. We go to this bar in Kitchener. Was it Kitchener? And I forget the name of the bar.
Waterloo or Cambridge. It was but it was at the tournament in Kitchener. Yeah.
So it was at the ISCs in 06, and we go to this bar, and it's closing time, and of course, what do we do at closing time? We go to the bar and buy 20 drinks. So we got a couple beers left, and we take them outside, and we're kind of just drinking them, and Whitty's in the car waiting for us to drive us out of there, and so we're just drinking away, and the security guard or bouncer comes over and he goes, "Boys," he said, "you can't drink that there." I'm like, hold on a minute. I said, "He's a newfie." I said, "You're from Newfoundland, aren't you?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm from Bell Island or something like that." I said, "Okay, right on. We're all from town, Portugal Cove and all that stuff." He said, "Carry on, boys." He said, "Carry on."
There we were. It was a bar in like a strip mall. And it was a big place. It was a really big place. I remember, good time. And we were just sitting around the parking lot in the middle of Ontario having a few beers while we finished up. But that was a good story. And when you brought up the Aspen days, that's what I thought of. Malali, I'll to throw that same question to you about maybe guys who you haven't talked about that were key contributors.
Yeah, well, there's some of the household names that we've had on here and that we talked about. So you've touched on their names, but a lot of it is really early on too. 18, 19 years old. Tom Berube was ace pitcher for Ashland. Coors Light, he was awesome to me. Yeah, he could have been a dick or entitled. He wasn't. He was fantastic to me. I saw him down. We always stay in touch and make a point to find each other when we're at these tournaments. Mark Hastings is probably a name that some of the guys won't know, but he's the guy who got me down to Ashland. Tom Stasek was huge in our development, and the guy named John Melchiori, he was a catcher down in Ashland. Just a wealth of knowledge, and kind of took me under his wing a bit. When we went to Town Line, I went there with Saki, who's Jeff Evely, is my age and one of our buddies. So that was more being down there with a peer, but we had Steven Gesso with us, a really great ball player from back home, and I looked up to Gesso while I was down there, and he was there for the whole summer, and just a pro, and he took me under his wing, and I have a great relationship with Gesso to this day. And then I don't think
Steven Gesso has any enemies in this world.
No, he's a beauty.
Is there a nicer guy?
If you don't like Steven Gesso, chances are you're an asshole. But and then there's Patty Shannon, outside of some of the guys that we've already mentioned. Reese Casely, played with those guys with Reese in Aurelia, and he was just a fantastic ball player. And then we teamed up again in Chicago, New York, and Patty Shannon's just a pro. There's so many that we can list, but those are some of the adjacent ones to the guys that we spoke about. And yeah, it's crazy when you, like Hilly said, when you show up down there and then the umpires are knowing you, but it's over the years you get to run into the same people. And it's, my early outlook was that if you weren't on my team or you're on a different country, it was fuck you, you're an asshole. But now, fast forward, it's, if you like fast pitch and you're putting this time in, we got something in common, and that's kind of, bread can be broken at this point.
Yeah, a little bit of respect for sure. And speaking of respect, I mean, I have a ton of respect for the success that you guys have had in this sport. And I talked about it earlier, just the number of rings that, I mean, you'd make a pawnbroker jealous with the amount of hardware that you guys have on display. But, I said 22, 24 championships. You've won 19 of those together. I'd say if you go back through the history of the game, and I certainly have not done the research, it's got to be up there in terms of successful teammates. Obviously not just your individual accomplishments, but what your teams have done. And then, of course, Bradley Esville's been along for a lot of this run as well. How does that happen? Because, most of us have been in a relationship, and when you spend that much time with somebody, it's tough, and it doesn't always go well.
It is tough, guys, and there are often times it doesn't fucking go well. Look at him. You try dealing with him for
you guys are like
a quarter of a century.
Yeah, you almost found out in Oklahoma too, buddy.
Yeah, and then your tail went back between your legs pretty goddamn quick. He told me and his father to go to hell, basically. And you.
No, that wasn't Oklahoma. That was where was that too? That was in Green Bay. I don't know. I was pissed off about something. And I told two of them what I thought about it, and I said I had enough, and I left the room. And I said, I'm going to the fucking casino. I said, I went down. I wasn't there 2 minutes. I put $100 in the machine. I lost it in like 10 spins, and I was even more mad. I left. I left the place. I had to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Gambling when you're mad is not a good idea. Stay cool, bet responsibly. Cool bet.
There you go. But yeah, there was a question in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you just answered it. Is how you make a marriage like that work through all those years, even when, because I've known both of you my entire life essentially, and you're pretty combustible, both of you, when emotions get high.
Yeah.
So how has that not led to disaster?
I don't know. We just know. We know when space is needed and when a good talking to is needed or when a cold beer is needed. I don't know. It's just one of those things, man. We just know each other so well now. Been doing it for so long. It's like an old married couple, I guess. Like you just know.
There was a couple of key moments in that marriage, I guess you could call it at this point. We talked about it a couple of times, but we got in a full-on tilt in Frankenmuth, where we were playing a drinking game, and I wasn't very good at it. And up the river, down the river, drink responsibly. But
you're still not good at it.
I'm still not good. I don't play the fucking thing anymore. Anyway, he started calling me out on being a wimp or whatever, and we stood up and went to blows. And he drilled me in the nose, and I drilled him in the lips, and it was just full on tilt. And that was really one of the only times we went at it, and we decided after that we're not gonna scrap it out anymore. But a lot of it has been us against the world mentality, probably being in each other's corner more so than ganging up, always being a lending ear or in certain times a guy to come off the bench and fight with you. But it's the success of it that we've had. Is it a catch-22 type situation? Are you having success because are you having a good relationship because you're having success, or are you having success because you got a good relationship and you surround yourself with those people? But for the most part, man, it's been a pleasure. There's those times where we are combustible, but the good moments definitely outweigh that. And then the players that we've been able to surround ourselves with just make that so much better. And Bradley, as a goal, as you mentioned, right at the top of the list, I think, of those 19 that we've won together. Bradley, I don't know if he was there for all of them, or he might be there for all of them. At least 17 or 18 Bradley's won with us.
Yeah, and it might sound a bit foolish, but once we started to play on the circuit and find out what all the major championships were and like what you could actually do in this game, we set goals, and we said to each other, we want to win every major championship there is together on the same team, right? And then to hear that, looking back on it now, and you say we won 19 rings together, it's just crazy, man. It's crazy to even think about, really.
You guys won every major championship in 3 months. One summer.
That was really good.
You talk about goal setting, and in this game where so much can go wrong and so much has to go right. I mean, just you look at that 2015 summer, Steve, the game of your life, the game of everybody's life against New Zealand. I mean, I remember watching that game and I'm thinking, my fucking friends are making this happen. I was so proud of you guys. And then Jason, you were such a big contributor in that Pan Ams. That summer, there couldn't have been anything better than that summer. You were the Kings.
It was unbelievable.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. Yeah. But we set that goal, and it was it was realistic, but it was such a unheard of when you think about it. But look, we're playing on such good teams going into this. We're playing with Newfoundland, and we've already won 2. We were playing with Hill United. We already won back-to-back ASA and back-to-back ISC. And our team, Canada, it just seemed like the core of that team was in its prime. We had the veteran leadership there that were still, when called upon, ready to go, and we had some great guys coming up. And I said, Jesus, we could fucking win all 5 of these if things go our way. And then we've gone through some of the details on Bradley's podcasts and on Ian Fairman's and things like that. But it was a whirlwind, And then there was that span, I think, between 2013 and 2015 or something like that. There was 13 or 12 or 13 rings that you can win in the sport as a Canadian ball player, and Bradley, Hilly, and I were fortunate enough we won 12 of them.
That's crazy. It's absolutely insane, actually. And you know, I know you're being modest and you're talking about the teams around you and the teams where you're on. Well, you guys comprise 33% of those lineups every day. So, you know, as much as you want to direct the accolades elsewhere, not only were you guys in the lineup every day, you were hitting at, you know, the top generally in Bradley's case, and the middle for you guys, or at times, you know, you were 3, 4, 5 in lineups. And so, I mean, you're a massive part to the offensive success of your teams, and for Bradley for the defensive success.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What is Danny Mullins? What's his saying? He said,
"Oh yeah, the water covers 2/3 of the earth, and Bradley covers the rest of it." I know. I actually heard Blair Sefford try and sneak that one in a couple of times during the ISC broadcast, but every broadcaster is a good thief, I suppose, Blair. So we won't hold you to that. Okay, so all these nights you guys, or all these championships you guys have won, are over under 499 and a half nights in the same hotel room.
Oh, geez, over probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We spent a whole summer in a motel room together. So that was from the 28th of April until Labor Day. So that accounts for I don't know, 100 plus of them. And then but
I don't think that motel takes fast pitch players anymore. I don't think.
Yeah. But it goes back, man, when we started going away for the roommates at Canada games and up through there. So yeah, it's over 500, I would say. And
guaranteed.
Okay, so it really is a marriage. So when you're literally living or in a relationship with somebody like that, what are the things about each of you that absolutely drives the other one crazy?
You go first, because I don't know how many episodes I'm going to be talking for. So
the fucking untidiness of the room on his side.
Fuck off.
You can walk into any hotel room we've ever stayed in. You can say, "Yep, that's Hilly's bed. Yep, that's Lolly's bed."
Yeah. Okay.
That's my number one. Now give me more time. I'm going to come up with a few more.
Well, he's stubborn as a fucking mule, right? That's good and bad. I get the benefits of him being stubborn, but I get the brunt of the stubbornness sometimes. And I hate the way he wears his towel when he comes out of the shower. Most people wear a towel, just around your waist, below your belly button, just a normal. He comes out with it kind of like 6 inches above his belly button, just below his chest, and he's walking around talking. And if you watch The Wolf of Wall Street, when Leonardo DiCaprio comes out, right when they're breaking up, he got a towel on, and I just, every time I watch that movie, I take a picture of it. I said, "Oh, you're coming out of the bathroom again, boy." But that's one that drives me nuts. Every time he comes out, wear your fucking towel the right way, man.
I didn't see that one coming. That's good. Hilly, you look like you have more.
No, we'll leave it at that for now.
Well, listen, you're clearly, the best of friends, and we already had one little cry session earlier, but I'll ask, I asked what annoys you the most, what impresses you the most about each other?
I mean, you mean from staying in a hotel room?
No,
or just what impresses? Listen, we talk about it all the time. Lolly likes to have a good time, and he likes to entertain, and he's one of the boys. He likes to have a few beverages and stuff. But the coolest thing for me is to see what he does when he steps on a ball field. It's just a complete everything from attitude, mindset, change. Total professional, outside of the skill and the talent, we all know that's there, but just the way he conducts himself on a ball field is pretty cool to get to see.
Yeah, that's something. I'm gonna record that on my phone when this episode comes out. That's
I haven't got my birthday gift yet either. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, his birthday was yesterday, so it's much the same in that regard. But what I'm probably most proud of and impressed by was he was so good at a young age and had a lot of potential, a lot of expectation, and at every level of the game, he's gotten better. It hasn't really gone to his head in an arrogant way. It's created confidence and great teammate, ball player is what you talk about. Anyone that's been on a team with him, he's the best teammate you'll ever have. But then when the rubber hits the road and you got bases loaded in the top of the 7th in an ISC championship game, and he's done it time and time again. So I think the thing I'm most impressed is that he had big expectations at a very young age and continued to surpass them and set new ones. So, yeah, I don't think there's anyone in the game I'm more proud of than him.
Now,
bye.
Sweet. Yeah. No, that's great. Listen, I mean, we're all big macho men here, but it's great to be able to pass those nice words along. I mean,
now, boys, this will be the part here. I'm just talking to the boys. This is where you're going to put the Kleenex ad in.
I think it's I'm sure everyone out there is interested to hear this because I know they see you guys playing as competitors, fun in the bear tent, all that kind of stuff. But to get your insights on just kind of the dynamic between both of you guys is, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, that's the reason we've had a couple of people reach out to us about doing an episode like this, and actually in this exact format. You guys should get Kris Abbott to come on and host an episode and bring you on, and it's different being on the other side, especially preparing for this today. But it is something we're incredibly proud of the career that we've had playing together. We've been on talking about what we've done individually and in snippets, what we've done together with some of the guests that we've brought on. But this was really cool. We get an opportunity to do that. There's a ton of funny moments outside the ball field that we could spend hours and hours on. That's some we probably shouldn't tell. But Hilly, remember when was it that Moncton tournament? Right, like is your best buddy, and we were playing on different teams at this point because this was after when I left Frankenmuth, I went to Town Line, and then from Town Line I went to Aurelia to Kitchener, Kitchener to Chicago, New York, and then that's when we got back together, and he went to Aspen, and then back with Hill United, but we're in that Moncton tournament now. We're young. And I got the best beer tank going, right? So they had like a home run derby and all that. And how many years was it, Hilly? The same thing happened.
It was 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So I was with the farm, Lolly's with Kitchener, two very big teams. And this one particular Saturday night, we had the late game farm did under the lights, and the boys were drinking up in the beer tent and just kind of watching our game. They watched like 3 or 4 innings, and they go on and do their thing. So we get done our game, we go into the beer tent, have a couple beers before we go, and I see this ball bag, Kitchener River Shark ball bag over there, and I was like, geez, all the boys are gone. I said, I better go over and look at it. Number 33 written on top of it. So I was like, Lolly's nowhere to be seen. So I would go grab it, and I was like, I'll bring that home now. It turns out we play them first game in the playoffs the next morning. So I take it home, and I bring it. I'm wheeling. So the next morning, I'm wheeling my ball bag in. I'm wheeling Lolly's ball bag in. Kitchener's on the team, throwing the ball around. Dino's there warming up, getting ready to pitch. There's Lolly with his arms folded, shorts on, just there. Don't even say nothing. I pass him his bag. He goes, thank you. And he goes that way, and I go that way. So that was like 2008. And sure as shit, 2009, Saturday night, same goddamn thing happens again. I said, no, it can't be. And this, I don't know why you had your laptop and everything in this one night. You must have just come from the airport to the field or something like that.
Work laptop bag and my River Shark ball gear. Yeah.
Anyway, sure enough, had to do it again.
Yeah. So he's a great teammate, even when you're playing on different teams. But we've talked a lot of sentimental stuff here now, and then one of the things we like doing is having a laugh on here, and we've been privileged to have some legendary beer tent sessions. Abby, you've been a part of a number of those, but we've there's a. Do you remember when we were down at the ASAs? We weren't even playing with Kitchener the year that we won it down there with them. We were both picked up, and they had Todd Martin and Dino and everything. And these guys hold court, Abby, as you know, better than anyone. And anyway, we won an 8:00 game on the Friday morning or something, and then we didn't have to play until Saturday afternoon or something like that. So the boys start getting, there's flats of beer being out. So it was, maybe have a start early bit of fun. And then Todd Martin's telling all his stories and Dino, they're holding court, playing these more pork games and stuff like that. But before you know it, Grazer's there going to it, telling all his stories and the funny laugh. And then it's one of those ones where there's a game's being played and we're still sitting there, and the players from that game come by, and they drop in, and they have a couple of beers. Say, fuck, we'll watch the next game, too. And then you're catching up. I think we watched 4 games or 5 games.
We've seen most of that day, yeah.
Yeah, but and then, Hilly, remember when we left the ball field? You know this part of it a little bit better than I did, probably, for obvious reasons. But
we were there. So we were just young fellas there with Grazer and Todd Martin, and their boys were drinking beer, and, we're basically sitting down until they tell us we got to leave. If they say we're leaving, we're leaving. So it got to the point where I suppose it was around supper time, and the boys were a little bit hungry, and they said, all right, we're going to go grab a steak. So I forget the steakhouse we went to, but so we hop in a cab, I think, at this point, and we go to the steakhouse close to our hotel. As soon as we walk in, we're still in ball uniform, stains all over us, right? Just having a laugh, kind of chuckling. And anyway, walk into this, and then as soon as we walk in to sit down, just being seated was the rest of our team. They all had their golf shirts on, the hair was done, the cologne and the whole deal, right? We're walking in, and I forget who it was. I don't know if it was McGiffin or if it was Hallman. He was like, nice of you boys to join us. We sat down and had a very awkward team meal there.
But see, Abby, back then, that was easy for us because we could say, oh, well, we were with them. Right. Yeah. So it was more that it was their fault. They're the veterans, captains of the team. They should have known better, and they shouldn't be exposing us young, impressionable minds to such behavior. So we got off the hook with that, but we can't do that no more because we're in that position.
This is a good segue because one of the questions I have written down is of all the teams you've played on, who was the beer tent or after tournament champions? Who gets the ring for the best partying team you've ever been on?
From a team perspective?
Yeah, from the team. Which team just did it just every night, every tournament, every weekend, and still had success?
Oh, Jesus. Hill United. It's shifted. And luckily when we've been having some success and expected success that you're going in with an expectation to win, a lot of it has been saved up to let loose if you do win, or you let loose after the last game of the year. And I will give Hilly is by far my favorite person to see celebrate winning. Adam Falkart as well, because he goes through a season, he won't drink the whole season. And then
I know, mind blowing.
Look out though, vodka Red Bulls are coming. They're coming out hard after he wins. But I'll just say one with when I played with Kitchener, that was a great team because whenever we come home after every weekend, it was always back in the hotel in a conference room, everybody kind of having beers, playing poker, and that was really cool. And that was consistent. And then when we won, it was just next level. But Hilly, I'm not sure individually for you. What do you think?
No, I had to be Hill United. Would be top of the list there. Like you said, it has shifted a little bit, and it's during the tournament, especially the big tournaments, is all business. But the party at the end of it is a party, and it's a pleasure to be around. But one thing I did like when we played with the farm was we'd always stick around, support the beer tent, they would say. But we'd have our uniforms on, like Colin says all the time. He said, my uniform is on, I'm having a few beers, and that uniform comes off and going to bed. Yeah. Right. But then, of course, I was fortunate enough to win an ISC and an ASA with those guys. And those guys like to party as well.
And then, it probably goes without saying, but when you win a national championship with Team Newfoundland, it's the players, it's the coaching staff, the support staff, the supporters. You can't fit more people into either a beer tent or a hotel room or wherever we go. It's a full-on party.
Yeah.
And
you don't know what you're going to get. Every championship has been different. Every championship celebration has been different with Team Newfoundland.
but I mean, I don't care. I don't care if Jace likes this or not. So yesterday, we got a group chat going with the guys. Kind of went on my stag with me, and every time it's one of our birthdays, you throw out a happy birthday. So yesterday, I sent it out to Jason and Opie Fairman and Kenny King, my buddy from home, Nick Shales and Robbie O'Brien. Right, so I just sent out Jamie Tackaberry, our buddies from down the States, and Opie. So after we won the ISFs, right? So you finally got to the mountain. That's the one we hadn't won it before, and we got to the top of the mountain, best in the world, and we got honor, right? And Hilly got honor. And like we all did, but there's a picture of him at the airport the next morning because we had the early flight. And no matter whenever it's his birthday, Opie Fairman always sends that picture. He must have it hearted or saved as his favorite. So sure enough, when the happy birthdays are going back yesterday, I think Opie said, "Happy birthday, you old fucker," and then he just sent that picture again, man. And every time I see it, it just reminds me of how he lets loose after we win. So there's no one parties or plays harder or parties harder than old Jason Hill there.
How would the ISC teams stack up on a Sunday morning get knocked out tournament at Lions Park when you got all the rest of the games to watch and a cooler full of beer? How do the ISC teams stack up to the local in St. John's?
I think there's a few teams that can hold their own, I guess. I mean, the Gators were here a few years ago, and I think they might have been out like Saturday morning. But they like to party. They had a few boys that could hold their own, and I don't know. What do you think, Lolly?
Any team with Rob Schweier on it is going to fit in fantastic down at Lions Park. I think it's a little bit about the people that are there, the boys that we grew up in that culture. It's as much as you wanted to play on those teams and you wanted to win the provincials, and when we started real young with Fog City, one of the biggest, I don't know, it's just something for me personally. When I got my Fog City jacket, Hilly, oh man, I wore it downtown with Atomic, I think was the name of the place. I'm in there. I don't care what's on underneath it. I got the Fog City jacket on, right? and it was just, you like being on the team, but it was standing around after with your Fog City jacket on with Ward Goss and Dave Boland and all these legends, Scotty Mercer, and you feel a part of it. So that being out by the chalet or up by the other chalet, I guess you could call it, in the back, that was special. And then it's cool to see that it happens down in the ISC or in the beer tents and all that. And the next closest thing, Hilly, is when you went with the farm and you guys all had your jackets and the circles and all that there. That was the Farm Tavern would fit in down there. They'd have to call in the paddy wagon to get those fellas out of there.
I would have loved to see Rob Peterson on George Street. It might take him a couple weeks to walk up it, but he'd have some left.
Oh man, I mean the stories about Rod are just legendary. Had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times, but just a guy who, much like the Newfoundlanders, right? It was all about the game and could let loose if he needed to, right?
Yeah,
so, we always talk about the Newfoundland influence on the game, but I think a lot of, and you guys can agree or disagree, but I think a lot of the people that are involved in this sport are just the right kind of people you want to be around, and most of them would fit in pretty well with all the Newfoundlanders.
Yeah, the softball community is a very tight knit community. We're much the same, and especially the teams that we play against at the ICs. Towards the end of the week, we play against each other so much, and with national teams and the club teams and all that. But it's all business on the field. But when we get together in the beer tent for a few beers after, so we're all the same, man. It's all for the most part.
But Abby, and it'll speak to kind of the community like Hilly just talked about. Through those years, especially playing together, we've been a part of some pretty cool rivalries, really intense rivalries on the field. Canada, New Zealand, Canada, Venezuela, Newfoundland, Ontario, Newfoundland, BC, Hill United and the Chiefs, Hill United and the Toronto Gators and things like that. And a lot of the players are part of multiple teams, and in a lot of cases then you go and you become teammates with them. But as an example, we just edged out the Gremlins, and we've been in a 10-year rivalry with them, and there's players on that team from New Zealand that we've been in another 10-year rivalry on the international stage. But first two messages I have, and aside from congratulations when you're in person, Wayne Lalo and Jerome Ramaki sending messages, hope you got home safe, enjoy it, brother. It's great, can't wait to go back and battle against you next year. So just class acts, and it's really cool looking back to see just a rivalry piece on the field, but then the camaraderie off it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you really hate it when those guys from New Zealand are nice. Hey, you want to hate them, you want to have that grudge, but actually, they're people from an island, I guess, just good people for the most part. Eh?
Yeah. Well, yeah. We did. There was a lot of hate out of, I guess, ignorance early on, right? But I think we touched on it earlier. But what I respect the most is, they'll do the hawk and they'll do that, and it's not just New Zealand. It's you're at the point now you want the other team to go bring their best foot forward, to have that gur on. When you see these games where everybody's up on both sides of the dugout and you're almost yelling across the field, that's what makes great softball, and great softball players and great teams great. And but to say that was all love and the kumbaya and rainbows, that wasn't the case either. There's a lot of hate over the years, but it's just grown into that mutual respect over the number of years those rivalries have been happening.
All right, well, boys, I don't want this to run too long, but there is a couple other things that I want to touch on, and you talked about the national team stuff, and it's one thing to represent your club team, represent your province. When you guys have gone and played outside the country together, wearing the maple leaf on your chest, I know you've touched on it a bit before, but not many people get to do that, and very few get to do it with their best friend. So, give me a little bit about your favorite things about that experience.
It's a level of comfort for one. I mean, it's a big thing to represent your country, and it can be quite stressful. There's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, but to wear the maple leaf is an honor itself. But to get to do it with your best buddy is pretty special, and it kind of made things easier for me. And Lolly was there a couple of years before me. He must have sucked up to the coach or something like that. But
probably better, just better all around teammate player.
But he had, for me, he was my guy. He had that added experience, and he was a guy I looked up to and came to for whatever it was. And the whole deal, get to travel with him, get the room with him. It made things easier for me, but it was cool that our families come, and then our families get to hang out, and it was just that level of familiarity and comfort, I guess I'm trying to say. It's been a pretty special ride for me.
Yeah, same here. And then when he grew up in Portugal Coast, St. Phillips, I grew up in Freshwater, and to go, you're down in Colombia or New Zealand or Mexico or every province you can name, majority of the states down there, and then getting to play in a lot of, so you listed off the whatever number the championships, and we've lost a lot. So the number of championship games and then big games to get to those, there are a lot of, it's stressful. So when we go away to play ball, it's not we're going on vacation. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of added pressure. You're away from family. You're away from work. You want to win. There's a lot of expectations. So that comes with a lot of stress and pressure. And I know I wouldn't have been able to be as successful as I've been personally and the teams without having that comfort, that place to go vent, and a guy that at times knows you better than you know yourself. There's some times where you just come back and it's a cold beer, or it's a slap in the face, get your head out of your ass, or it's hey man, what are you seeing? Can you help me out? Right? You can kind of be vulnerable a bit. You can be yourself, I guess, is the biggest thing. But to be able to do it on all levels is pretty special.
All those championship games, do the nerves ever go away? Does it ever get more comfortable? Does it become easier?
I played a provincial championship here 2 weeks ago. I had the same nerves that I had, and I played the ISC finals. Whatever it is, just that those initial nerves, the excitement, but the anxiety to get going, to get on the field. As soon as you get on the field, it goes away. But for moments like me, when I do have moments like that where I'm a bit nervous to look down the bench, or if I'm on third base to look over first base and there he is over there, it's kind of, makes it easey.
Yeah, it's the nerves are there. It's a different reaction to them, I guess. Early on, I remember we won the first one. I didn't sleep the night before our first championship game in 2005, when we were representing Newfoundland, going in to play the championship game of the Canadians. And then when we won, the mind runs on you because of the lack of experience. So this last one, going in, a little bit of familiarity, but you get on the field, same thing. The nerves come in, but just like Jay said, it is that comfort, and you can look over and it's not mostly with him, but same with all these guys. You can look around and say, geez, we got a great team, great group of guys. But the nerves, no, they don't go away. They're always there.
All right. Last topic. I said we're running long, and I'm never good at wrapping stuff up because I could talk to you guys all night. But without getting yourself killed the next time you see one another, Steven, you go first. What's something about Jason Hill that nobody knows?
Oh, pass. Because well, he was born with 2 thumbs on his right hand.
That's fucking true. Can you imagine the spins I could have got if they had kept that thumb?
Oh man, I know. I've seen the scar. That's when, and I asked your mom before. I'm like, that's not true. She said it's true. I don't know. She might even show me a picture. But that's weird, right? That's not common.
I don't think it's common. How many fucking people are born with 3 thumbs?
You'd be a good movie critic. Jason Hill gives it 3 thumbs up. Hilly, what's something that nobody knows about Mullally?
Without getting people keep
without
it clean.
getting yourself killed.
I don't know. Maybe something a fun one that some people don't know is that Steve tried out for Canadian Idol. And they told him this. I think the tryout was this particular one was at the Avalon Mall here in town. And so he had to give him the judges their background information, all this stuff. He said he was ball player, Team Canada, all this stuff. And what was it he said? Yeah, he said you might hit a lot of home runs. He said, but you can't fucking sing or something like that. Something along those lines. It's like, well, you're out of here.
I can tell you exactly what he said because I still wake up sometimes cursing and swearing at that jerk. He said, you might get a lot of hits in softball. You'll never get one in music.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but that's something that a lot of people know, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, you did play in a band though, and you guys used to book gigs downtown. Were you guys the Stinks? Is that what
we
were
the Stinks, Abby? We were one of the best draws on there, and STYNX if anyone wants to look us up. And I went down there by me and a few of the boys and guys I played hockey with, and we weren't very good, but we put on a good show. And
you were good enough. They were good enough.
We weren't good, but we were good enough, and we always had a crowd come out with us, and it was a great time. So, I don't know. It's probably a record, maybe for the most sellouts, but
the Republic.
No, well, we take that show on the road every now and then, Abby. It gets less and less as we get older, but there's still a couple of songs, especially when we take down a championship. That's when the boys will let loose and start singing a bit.
Well, I think we got the name for this episode. We weren't good, but we were good enough.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, last thing, and I promise. Where did the performing in the beer tent and any place that there are people surrounding the softball tournament, and then that just becoming lore and expected of you every night after the games were over? How did that happen, and did you embrace it? And I know the answer to the second question.
Well, embracing it, yes, and a lot of it was I brought it on myself, but I think it really goes back to that 2005. I just always wanted to fit in. I liked surrounding myself with guys like Todd Martin or these guys that are holding court and just you see they're funny. I always like telling jokes and in that part of it. We had Eddie Mack and these guys growing up and Ward Goss, and there was always a party. So it wasn't just me doing it. And then when we went away, it was just me doing it. Right? So kind of took it on the road. When we're back in Newfoundland out around the chalet, it's okay, I'm telling one joke or I'm singing one song and then Eddie Mack is singing another. But I don't know, it got singing some funny ones like the Lobster song and things like that. That's followed me around for fucking 20 years. I embrace it, but I save it now for the championships. But it was just, you sing a song, you see people that your buddies that and it just the crowd grows and it's fun. So yes, to answer your question, I embraced it, and it started really back in about 2007.
All right, I'll open up the floor like a debate. You each get your closing points. What else do we need to know, or if we covered it all?
No, it's just, it's good to be back, man. I think, what was it? We had an 8-week hiatus, maybe. There was a vacation. There was an ISC season, a local season. There was a bunch of stuff in there. It's been a while, but it's good to be back in the saddle. And we got some big things coming. We got some great guests lined up. It's going to be a good off season. It's going to be lots of good shows with Dust Up and Hilly and Lolly and probably Abby.
Absolutely.
But other than that, buddy, man, I just want to thank you for doing this. Awesome show. Thanks for coming on and hosting the boys.
Yeah.
And,
well, absolutely my pleasure as a broadcaster to watch you guys grow through your first 9 episodes. I think I sent some pointers after episode 1. And other than that, you guys have, you've been awesome. Frankly, It's been excellent. And really, really happy to see how well it's going for you guys.
Do I get my rebuttal?
Yeah, go.
Okay. You said it was a debate, right? We're not letting him have the last word.
There we fucking go.
Right?
There we fucking go.
Oh, it's just a couple of things. One, just back on the podcast front. Yeah, Hilly said it. It was pretty cool this year. We go down there and you're used to going to the ball field and people, oh, hey, that was the season, whatever. But now you see, we listened to your episode of whoever, and that was pretty cool. I'm standing on first base. The umpire came up and said, great episode with Rob Gray, right? I said, oh, yeah, that's cool. Fucking call me safe the next time I fucking bang play here then, right? Trying to use it to your advantage, but we're talking, we got some amazing episodes and guests lined up. Some huge international superstars, some household names, and then some episodes that are kind of unique, bringing on a couple of people. But this one was really special to have you on here. We wanted to recap the season. It was one really with the here and now content that we were talking about. So to be able to reflect on that tour that we did, I will take this time to thank our Hill United group and Pete Hill and all the sponsorship group for everything that they did to make that happen. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Hilly didn't thank him because he doesn't care about the team as much as I do. And
they made him play third base. He definitely doesn't care anymore.
No, it was we talk about it almost daily. We got the text message going. That was such a huge. Now that it's behind us, it was a lot going into it, but a once in a lifetime opportunity. So we're looking forward to next year going back with Hill United and trying to repeat that, but more on the.
You see what I mean with sucking up to the coaches and all this. Like, this could go on for another half hour yet.
So, fucking Hilly, right? See,
he got mad last week when you and Blair were reminiscing, and now he can't even handle that either.
He can't handle
right?
it. But hey, listen, that's water under the bridge now. See, old married couple didn't even happen. But Abby, you're one of our best buddies. You're the pro when it comes to this stuff. So we wanted to make the 10th episode kind of a milestone episode. We talked about it a couple of months ago, wanting to do this. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, boys. And you've got my time anytime you need it, and absolute pleasure. And I think I'm going to do this properly when I say thank you. And Lucas and Nick, bring us out with some Rum Ragged.
But I'm a man now. For courting 6 girls all at once they use me. My mother said after it's all so very.
And the lolly drops his glove, grabs Dalton. The benches are clearing.